I will let Emily or somebody on your side kind of call out. Are we all remote or do we have anybody in person?
Ron is in person.
Oh, hi, Ron. Well, why don't you go
Hi,
ahead and
Julie.
introduce, then I'll let Emily take over. Okay, Ron, why don't you kick us off, and then I'll let Emily kind of through the online.
Okay, I'll introduce myself, Ron Onslow, a councilman from Ridgefield, Washington.
David?
David Scott, City of Washington.
Jim?
Jim Hodges, City of Columbus.
Sam? Crummett?
Morning, Sam Crummett, City of Mountain.
Jennifer Logan?
Hi, Jennifer Logan, Lifeline Connections.
Gina?
Hi, Gina Van Dyken, Lifeline Connections, Vancouver, Washington.
Sam Whitley?
Hi, good morning. Samantha Whitley with the City of Vancouver.
Sue?
I'm assuming there's not other Sues. This is Sue Neal, Battleground Healthcare.
Thank you, Sue. Yuri?
Hi, this is Yuri, and I'm with YWCA Clark County.
Dale?
Good morning, Dale Whitley, HMIS Administrator with the Council for the Homeless.
I think I got all of our guests. Emily Langston, Clark County Community Services. Michael, Rebecca, and then Janet.
Good morning, everyone. Michael Torres.
Good morning, Rebecca Royce.
Good morning, Janet Snook.
Okay, that should be everyone.
I would, this is Ron Onslow. I would just ask that everybody speak clearly and slowly because it all runs together if you speak real loud, and it all runs together if you speak real fast.
Thank you, Ron. And I think also those of you in the training room, while you're presenting, no problem, but while we have questions back and forth, if there's the ability to mute the microphones in there because we get an echo. So it might be a little bit of a logistical issue, but if you can think about that while we're having a back and forth, we do get an echo on this side if the microphones are on in the training room. Okay, with that, we will move on to approval of the March 14 minutes. And I do want to say I hope everybody had a great summer, and it's nice to have everyone back.
I move to approve the minutes as posted.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 We have the next agenda item. I've got my agenda up here, but I just can't find it.
Next, we have Dale Whitley with Council for the Homeless to go over the point-in-time count data. Are people still getting an echo, or did we fix it?
I think you fixed it.
Great. Dale, you can go ahead and share your screen whenever you're ready to start.
Okay, great. Can everybody see that now?
Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, so again, yeah, I'm Dale Whitley, HMIS Administrator, so Homeless Management Information System Administrator with the Council for the Homeless. And from November to January of every year, I also coordinate the annual point-in-time homeless count. So we're going to go into a little overview of what that count is and then what the results were for 2022. So first of all, the point-in-time count, what is it? So we're required by HUD and the Washington Department of Commerce to do a one-day snapshot best effort count of everyone experiencing homelessness in our county. So every year we try to always increase the tools and the effectiveness of that count. We'll get into a little bit of how we did that with this year. And it enables us to have better planning and funding determinations. We can see, you know, what change within certain demographics that are of those people that are experiencing homelessness. I like to think of it as kind of like a high water mark on a river bank or a levee, where you can, you know, once a year see, you know, what the difference was from the previous year. And it's important to bear in mind that this is a one-day count. So it is just, you know, the best available data that we were able to do. You know, there's lots of reasons why, because it's just a one-day count, you know, it's limited in the amount of time. It's not like the census where we have months to try and do this. And, you know, with our population, these are people that may have, you know, lots of reasons why they don't want to be found. So it's just important to remember that, you know, it was the best effort. We always know that there are people out there that probably weren't counted. So when we look at the numbers, I like to always frame it as we know there were at least this many people experiencing homelessness on this day. So the count is divided up into two major sections. There's the sheltered side and then there's the unsheltered side. So the data sources that we use to collect those numbers are our HMIS system is a great resource. So any program, any shelter or housing assistance program in Clark County, they're entering their data on their clients into our system every day. So we're just able to use our system to pull up the numbers of who was experiencing homelessness on that day. And then for our domestic violence shelters that are not allowed to enter their client information into our regular HMIS system, we coordinate with those shelters to get the numbers for those people for that day as well. On the unsheltered side, we collect information from any of service locations that aren't connected to our HMIS system. We have people there with the mobile app or with surveys to get information for people that are visiting their location on that day. We also collect numbers from people that are staying in their Safe Park program. And then also we connect with the school homeless liaisons. They send us numbers on their students and families that were experiencing homelessness. And then a big part of the planning and counting on the day of the point in time count is the street count. So we send out multiple teams all around the county to check known areas, encampments, and survey anybody that they find out on the street or in their cars on that day. So that we're able to do that with the coordination of a lot of our outreach workers. It's really great to have their involvement because they already have relationships that they've built with the people in the encampments and have that trust and connection to be able to collect this information. And then another big event that we hold on this day is the Project Homeless Connect event. So this is a one-day service fair that we hold normally at St. Joseph's Church. And people are able to go to that event and get a lot of great services and also get counted to be included in the point in time count. So they're getting, you know, a lot of times they can get haircuts or dental care or vision care, get eyeglasses and clothes. And so it's a really great event. And then we also, you know, it's a magnet that pulls people in, but we're able to count people. So COVID has affected the point in time count in recent years. There was no Project Homeless Connect event or point in time count in 2021. So if anybody remembers back to January of 2021, this was even right as vaccines were even coming out. It was pretty much just healthcare workers at that time that were able to get vaccines. So HUD recognized that all these volunteers and outreach workers and everyone that goes into making this count happen were likely not going to be vaccinated at that time, and we didn't want people getting infected or infecting the people out on the street, that we were going to be counting as well. So they gave a waiver. We didn't do a count in 2021. And then this year, our count was originally going to be take place on January. And again, if anybody remembers, at that point, we were right in the heat of that Omicron surge. If we would have done our count at the end of January, if you look at the Clark County public health numbers, there was a giant spike. It would have been right at the top. So HUD, this was happening nationwide too, of course. So HUD gave everybody a 1-month waiver. And luckily that did get us on the other side. By the time we actually did do the count on February 24th, we were almost right back to normal before that surge. So yeah, some of the highlights from this year's count. For one, we had a lot more outreach teams were added this year. There's been an increased funding to support the work of all these great outreach workers I was mentioning earlier. So we have 4 or 5 year-round outreach teams that are going out and doing this work and having those connections with people, having that experience on how to do this safely. And so that was a great benefit to be able to have all that experience and person power to help us conduct that count. And this is the first year, like I mentioned, that the count happened in February instead of January. So normally it's always been that last Thursday in January, pretty much. But this was the first time it was in February. And also, this was the first time that we had the count occur on a severe weather day. So on the morning of the point in time count, there was snow on the ground in February. And what that means, as far as the numbers in the count, is that we had additional severe weather shelter bed capacity that opens up when a severe weather night is called. And so we'll see that in the numbers as well when we look at the sheltered side. And for the third year, we used a mobile app, this Counting Us mobile app that we purchased that really helps the people that are going out and doing the count. And prior to that, they'd go out with clipboards and paper surveys. And in the end of January, it's rainy and misty, and those papers would get all wet and soggy. And that mobile app also just provides less physical barrier between you and the person that you're counting. And so it's just everybody says that that's been just a huge improvement since we've been able to add that. And then I just wanted to call out again that we were able to safely hold that Project Homeless Connect event. There was a lot of anxiety about being able to do this in person again after so long. And as far as we know, it was safe, and so that was kind of a big win as far as the point in time count. Here's a picture from the point in time count. You can see this person here getting some shoes. So like I said, it's a really great event where people are able to get a lot of help and assistance that they need on that day. So let's look at some of the numbers. So this is just a small chart showing some of the overview of the 2022 point time count numbers. And then there's a comparison with the 2020 numbers as well. So this year there were 1,197 total people that were counted. And you can see that that was a 31% increase from our last full point in time count back in 2020. So yeah, probably not a surprise to people that there were more people experiencing homelessness in Clark County. So in the unsheltered side, so people that were not in a shelter, that were out on the streets or in their car, there was a 21% increase. We're going to break down that number a little more later, but I just want to keep people in mind there was a 21% increase there. We also had a 45% increase in the number of people staying in an emergency shelter, 389. And the shelter, when we see these shelter numbers, our shelters are almost always full. So when we see an increase in the shelter numbers, that means that we had an increase in the number of beds that we had available in our community. And same with transitional housing. There was a 39% increase in the number of people that were in transitional housing on that day. So of those 1,197 people, 42% were women and 57% were men. There was a 13% increase in the number of people experiencing chronic homelessness. And the survivors of domestic abuse was down 20% from the previous year, or the previous full count year of 2020. And there were 27% of all the people that were counted were people of color. And in previous times I've held this presentation, people were asking, how did that number compare to our previous year? And so in 2020, the percentage was 24%. So there was a 3% increase in 2022 among color experiencing homelessness. So let's talk about the sheltered count, the increase. Like I mentioned, there were 389 people counted in emergency shelter and 213 last year in 2021. And so, that, like I said, that 45% increase is largely due to our increased bed capacity. This year, Bertha's Place, Bertha's 2, and the first of the safe living outpost communities were open. So that would give us more emergency shelter beds for people to fill. And also the family shelters were able to fully open this year. So even before COVID, our family shelters were in the middle of renovation, and so their beds were limited. And so now they're back, they're open, they don't have to have the same social distancing restrictions that they did in previous years. So that family shelter bed capacity has increased a lot. And then also it was a severe weather night. So we had those additional severe weather overflow beds that were open for people to fill on that night. And then again, there were 39% more people that were in transitional. So we had more family shelter beds this year, and we saw less unsheltered family members experiencing homelessness. So the reason why I call that out, is that that didn't necessarily have to happen. When we do statistical modeling, where we do, we say, okay, if we increase this many more emergency shelter beds, we should theoretically see a reduction in the number of people that could fill those beds, those family members. And that's not a guarantee that will happen, but that is what we saw in this year with the point in time count. So we had more family shelter beds, and there were less family members, families with children that were experiencing unsheltered homelessness. So doesn't mean that would happen every year. We could have very well, had that increase in beds and still seen an increase in the number out there, but this year we didn't. That was good to see. And then also we saw a stemmed growth in the number of unsheltered seniors experiencing homelessness. So since 2017, we've been seeing this steady increase every year in the number of seniors age 62 plus that were experiencing unsheltered homelessness. Like the chart says, there were only 3 back in 2017, and we just kept watching that number tick up and up every year in the point in time count until it was up to 37 in 2020, which is a large increase from 3. And so in early 2022, Bertha's Place was open, and they were prioritizing seniors age 52 and up. And so in this most recent point in time count, the number of unsheltered seniors remained the same at 37 from back in 2020. So didn't go down, but at least we've made it plateau so far, and hopefully we'll see, either stay the same or get a reduction in next year's count. So we had that 21% increase in the number of unsheltered people experiencing homelessness, and I've just talked about a couple of the places where those populations did not increase. So where did we see the increase? So we did see that increase in the number of singles or couples without children, and also unaccompanied youth. So those were the populations that did increase in 2022. There was a 45% increase in the number of unsheltered single individuals or couples without children. And also unaccompanied youth increased from 2 back in 2020 to 18 in 2022. So that's a population that we want to look at going forward to see if we could help push that number back down. And there are a lot of efforts in our community around youth by name list work groups to try and to help make that happen. So another thing we'd like to point out is that nearly 2 out of 3 people experiencing homelessness do not sleep outside. So the most visible form, right? We see the tents outside. So I just like to call out that's only 1/3 of the people that are out there. So 36% of people indicate that they sleep outside, but 33% of people stay in emergency shelters. 15% of people are in transitional housing, and then another 16% of people sleep in their vehicles or slept on the night of the point in time count. So I also like to remind everyone, I know that we're all aware of this, but we do have an acute affordable housing crisis in the county. And there's a couple resources where we can see some numbers and data related to how acute this is. So we have there's a spring 2022 apartment market survey report that shows a 2.7% vacancy rate for 1-bedroom apartments in Clark County. And there's a link here and a resource to where you can go and review this report. It's really neat because you're able to see, you can choose which counties you want to compare in Washington or to the state as a whole. And 2.7% is one of the lowest in our state. For most of the other counties, we're looking at a 3.4 or a 4% vacancy rate. But so we have one of the tightest markets in the state, unfortunately. And even if you are able to find one of those units, the next report goes into how affordable they are. This is the National Low Income Housing Coalition has an out of reach report that shows how much hourly income you would need to make to be able to afford one of those apartments in Clark County. So the most recent report is showing that for a 1-bedroom apartment in Clark County, you would need a $29.08 per hour to be able to afford that unit. And so sometimes we compare ourselves to Spokane. Population-wise, we're pretty close. They actually have about 30,000 more people than us, but that's pretty close. And in Spokane County, that hourly amount would be $15, so just slightly over the minimum wage there. And you can see that's almost double for us. So yeah, a lot of when we talk about unsheltered and sheltered people experiencing homelessness, the goal is to hopefully eventually help them move into an apartment and help them exit that homeless situation. And so, these reports kind of highlight how hard that is to do with the current rental market. Any questions?
Questions for Dale? I have a quick question, Dale. So you talked about the number of shelter beds versus, folks on the street. Do you know, is it a 1-for-1 in terms of how many more shelter beds we have versus how many are now in emergency shelters?
Yeah, because they're usually pretty much full. So any new facility that we have that opens up serving with it as an emergency shelter or additional bed capacity that's added, they're almost always immediately filled. So yeah, like I mentioned, when we see that increase in the point in time count for sheltered clients, it's almost always due to just we have more capacity, and we have additional emergency shelter beds that have opened up since the point in time count. So next point in time count, we should also see an increase there.
So do we know how many shelter beds we have in total in Clark County?
Yeah, we have a housing inventory chart document that's available on our Council for the Homeless.org webpage. And then I think if you look for a point in time count, I think that's the section that we have it in as well, is that housing inventory chart. And so it lists how many emergency shelter, how many transitional.
So Michael, you're nodding your head. Do you know what that number is? I'm just curious.
I'd have to look it up, Councilor Olson. It's in the 300, 350, it's in the 300 to 400 bed range, off the top of my head. But we can get you the exact number. We've provided it to the ECHO and to the council before, and we're happy to do it again. Dale's absolutely right. They fill up. The demand is there to fill up any capacity we have. When we opened Bertha's and Bertha's 2, it did take us about a couple of weeks to completely fill it up, but that was not because of lack of placement. That was because Catholic Community Services was staffing up, and there has been a challenge across providers in general to get the staff that they need to operate these shelters. And it is not, shelters are expensive. They are hard to locate and place, and they are hard to staff. So a big challenge in terms of adding bed capacity to our community is isn't just the dollars. Like if you gave me, if the Clark County Council said, "Hey, community services, here are $5 million, go make more shelter," it would take us easily, 8-9 months before we could really produce that, because it takes that long to find a place and to find someone to operate the shelter. And then for that operator to fully staff up. So just to give you guys an idea, when we opened Bertha's Place, or before we opened Bertha's Place, we did a request for applications for a shelter provider to do Bertha's Place. So we had the dollars, we had the location, we got one operator in the community that submitted a proposal. They withdrew. We recruited someone else to submit a proposal from outside this community. They withdrew because all our operators, and I think it's true generally throughout the state, are very much operating at capacity. So we had to reissue a request for applications a second time. We had one applicant, which was Catholic Community Services of Southwest Washington, which we worked with the VHA to recruit and asked them to apply. But that was it. And we were very, very lucky when the opportunity for Bertha's Place 2 came up, the additional space at Elahan Place, the Catholic Community Services was willing to add that to their portfolio. And the reason they were willing to do that is because it was the same population, and the distance between the facilities was close enough that they could really operate it with the same administrative staff. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had the capacity to activate those shelters. And I think if we ask the city of Vancouver what their experience has been, even with their safe stay communities, they'd say the same thing in terms of siting and finding operators and staffing those operators is a challenge.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for?
This is Gina. I have a quick question for Dale. I want to, thank you for the presentation on the valuable data. I had a question about the the transitional individuals. Are all individuals in transitional housing programs considered homeless, or does it depend on where they're at in that program?
So yeah, if you're in what HUD considers a transitional housing program, that's still considered homeless. Yeah.
Homeless because it's temporary. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Dale? Dale, thank you so much for your time and presentation. And Michael, so this will come before the council, I imagine, then also at some point in the near future?
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on then. If we have no more questions, I do have my agenda up here somewhere. Yeah. All right, so we're on to the CAPER update. And Michael, who on the team is going to take that?
I think Emily is about to activate her microphone. Emily, you're still muted. Let me try. Emily, are you not able to unmute? I guess not. I can present because this is a very quick info update on the CAPER. The CAPER is the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report that we do to HUD. It's due at the end of this month. We have the CAPER scheduled to present to the Clark County Council this September 20th. It's going to be the evening presentation. Emily and I will both be there to present. Tomorrow, the draft CAPER is going to be made available online to the public to review and to provide commentary. When we present it to the council, it will also be, we will be open to receiving any comments regarding it. The CAPER discusses all the activity that took place the previous year, and any comments that we receive, we will be passing on to HUD as part of the CAPER. We will be adding it to that. So that's the update. This is not something that the council needs to approve. This is an information piece to the council because we're really just reporting on the activity of the previous year. We are not asking for approval for any new activities. Any questions on that?
Okay, I don't hear any questions. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Next item, excuse me, 2023 Cdbg and Home FRA update.
I see your lips moving, Emily. Just nod. Do you want me to talk about that? I feel so bad.
Yeah.
You're working. I saw you unmute.
We have the echo. It's working now.
Okay, can you hear me?
We could hear you. We did hear that.
Very echoey, right?
If you want to mute yourself, I can do it.
It's probably going to be best just to do this echo.
Okay, so the update with the request for applications, every single year we make the funds that are available in our home and community development block grant allocations from HUD that are received. We make them available to the community via a request for applications process. We are currently working on those applications right now. And we do expect they will be going out to the community around the 1st of October. So as we do every year, we issue them at the beginning of October. Our requests for applications are available for organizations to submit proposals by the end of December or by December. And then we will review them and bring them to the Urban County Policy Board for your review and scoring. As you can see on the slide, the areas that we are going to be soliciting proposals for, as in the past, are going to be for public facilities and neighborhood improvements, asset and economic development, and affordable housing and homelessness. The available funding that is still an estimate right now is $1,500,000 for community development block grant and $550,000 for home. And as always, we are looking for public input on needed programs and projects with our community. The next funding round, we will be submitting making the RFAs published and available at the beginning of October, and please reach out to us as necessary. October 3rd to December 2nd. Thank you, Emily, for advancing that. We will be using Neighborly, which is the same software that we have been using the past couple years. Emily and staff will be providing technical assistance to anyone that's submitting proposals, and also to Urban County Policy Board and helping them do review, doing the reviews that are necessary. And we will be doing a pre-application workshop to review questions, clarify any program requirements that happen. That workshop is going to be on October 6th between 9 a.m. and 9:45 a.m. at the Center for Community Health in Conference Room 210A. And it will also be available online via WebEx as a hybrid, just like we are doing right now. That pre-application workshop will also be done, for all three of the categories: the public facilities and neighborhood improvements, that's the 9 a.m. to 9:45. Affordable housing and homelessness, also October 6th from 10 to 10:45. And for any submitters of asset and economic development proposals, it's going to be from 11 to 11:45. Any questions? Thank you. That's our update for request for applications.
Great, thank you so much. All right, next up is program updates.
I will do it again, and I apologize for this. Oh, Emily, did you want to try again? Oh, okay. I think I'm lip reading right, and I apologize for this. We're not sure what's going on technically with the mics and our sound.
Well, Michael, it happens in the hearing room as well. That's why I'm familiar with the muting of it's just too many microphones.
So only two basic updates to give you. One was that we just went through a Washington Department of Commerce grant monitoring for our community development block grant COVID funds that we received, and we dispersed to Battleground Healthcare Clinic. That monitoring came out clean. There were no findings, no recommendations, just compliments from the Department of Commerce regarding Clark County's handling of those funds. And also all the funds that have now been dispersed to the Battleground Healthcare Clinic. And Emily, is there anything else? You can text me, Emily. Is there anything else that I need to say at this time? No? Okay. Any questions?
This is Sue Neal from Battleground Healthcare, and I just want to say thank you for all of the support throughout the entire project. We are so grateful to be in the community and doing what we're doing, and thanks to all of you.
Thank you, Sue. And I did receive a text, not from Emily, but from Rebecca, asking if I wanted to mention about the State Auditor's Office audit. And thank you, Rebecca, for that text. So we also had an audit of the State Auditor's Office of our Community Development Block Grant Program in general. The State Department of Commerce grant monitoring was specific to the Cdbg COVID funds, and which we completely use on the Battleground Healthcare Clinic. The State Auditor's Office also conducted and just completed two or 3 weeks ago an audit of the Cdbg program. And as with the Commerce review of the Cdbg COVID funds, the State Auditor's Office had no findings, no recommendations, and just relayed appreciation for staff and the work that Clark County is doing regarding community development block grant funds in the operations. So those are the program updates, and thank you, Rebecca, for reminding me to include that.
Thank you, Michael. And again, that just is a testament to you and to your team and the detail and the hard work that you guys do every day. So I just want to say thank you for that. And then also, Gina, thank you for your leadership and what's happening in Battleground and the healthcare facility there. It's an important asset to this community. So thanks for your efforts there as well. Okay, so we're on to April through June 2022 quarterly report review.
Good morning. That is my part of the agenda today. And so let's kind of dig into these reports are through June. So, we're a little bit behind on what projects are happening, but through June, most of the projects were on time, on schedule, getting those components completed. The Battleground Southwest 3rd and Southwest 19th Avenue project construction was completed, and they were working on the project closeout. The Southeast Clark Avenue project for Battleground that was awarded 2000 funding. The environmental is being kind of interspersed with the VHA project, so that's in pre-development. The Northwest 12th Avenue project out in Camas, the construction was complete, and we're processing the final payment on that. That one is now fully completed on our side. The Ridgefield Simon Street project, at the time through June, we had completed the environmental review and the contract was executed. We have now, Ridgefield has awarded the funds to a prime contractor, and we're moving forward to do the pre-construction on that project. The Camas Northeast 2nd Avenue Improvements Project, construction was underway through June. It is now all complete on the construction side. We're just working on getting all of the funds or all the paperwork together to close out that project. And then that project will be fully completed. Washougal Hamlet Park construction was complete, and they were working on the project closeout to finalize that project. The Camas Northwest 14th project has been awarded funding, and we've been talking with Camas about when we're going to move forward with that project. The environmental review for that project will be starting shortly. Ridgefield Gee Creek was awarded funding. That project will most likely move forward once the Simon Street project is near completion or completed. And then the Washougal new funding for Hamlet, the half basketball court, was also awarded funding, and discussions for that project will be moving forward. Those newest projects cannot move forward until we have our grant agreement with HUD. And so that is part of the component that we're waiting on before we can move those projects forward. Looking under the social service projects, the Share House elevator replacement project, which was one that had been taking quite a long time to get done, is fully done, fully paid. That project is complete after there's a lot of back and forth with the Washington L&I on some requirements there. The Washougal Social Service building repairs, they've released the RFP and they've received no responses at this time. So they're working on the next steps on how to move forward with that project. Lifeline Connections Mother's Recovery House, they are searching for a property. They're ready to move quickly when that property is found. And then the New Heights Clinic, the project was awarded funding, and that will be slowly moving forward to get that project completed. Next slide. When looking at the asset and economic development projects, these are our technical assistance business programs. They've been serving many businesses and moving those projects forward. The Hispanic Metropolitan Chamber served 33 businesses so far through June. The Mercy Corps Business IDA program is now underway, and we're anticipating seeing some outcomes from that project soon. Proud Ground, the home ownership program, they're working with 3 eligible home buyers and working on getting those projects completed for those new home buyers. And then we have the same 3 projects that have received additional funding that will start January 1. Next slide. Looking at our affordable housing and homelessness programs, the new construction of the Grand Pacific Apartments is nearly complete. Mercy Housing project is also nearly complete. That actually had a grand opening just a couple of weeks ago. So as of now, it's done. The Central Park Place Rehab project construction is underway, and Second Step Housing is looking for units to acquire to move that project forward. That project is one that was selected at our last round of funding. Tenant-based rental assistance programs are all moving forward. And so you can see that a lot of households have been served. Lifeline has served 5 households. Share has served 42 households. Janus Youth has served 15 households. and Lifeline has served 3 households. And then all those programs received funding for the next fiscal year or program year, I apologize, that starts January 1, 2023. And then we'll see outcomes from those moving forward. And then our COVID response programs are moving forward and nearly complete with the Mercy Corps Business Micro Enterprise Grants. 200 businesses have been assisted. And then, as mentioned earlier, the Battleground Healthcare Project is fully done and final payment has been made. And then the TBR programs I just mentioned will be funded through the home ARP funding that we are receiving moving forward. Those are the ones that will start January 1. Any questions for the quarterly report? Fantastic. I'll turn it back over to Councilor Olson.
Thank you, Rebecca. All right, that looks we're getting down to the end here. So a couple of anything else from staff, Michael? No? No. Okay. Any thoughts from the board?
I'm curious if there's any indication if there will be an update to the eligible census tract and block groups for Cdbg funds anytime soon. It's been about 5 years, I think.
This is Rebecca. We will look into make sure what the eligibility for the eligible tracks are and get that information out to the board as soon as possible, along with our exception criteria that changes regularly.
Okay, thank you.
Other thoughts or comments from the board? Okay, so I see that we have our next meeting Monday, October 10th. If needed here on the agenda, what would be the trigger point in terms of whether we need to meet in October or not? Or do we just plan to meet in October?
I can't hear you, Emily. We probably will not. Well, I don't think we will need to meet in October based on the updates we've given you so far. We will be issuing the request for applications. That's going to be the biggest change that happens. Emily, am I forgetting something? Do you disagree that we will likely not have to meet in October? We will between now and December, or between now and December, might even be in December. We will be needing to meet so that we can do technical assistance and training review on scoring the applications, and we will plan on between now and December providing the Irvine County Policy Board with the presentation that we will give the council on the CAPER, the activities from the previous year. So that, there isn't a timeline where we have to do that. That is an information thing for the Irvine County Policy Board, but we do plan to provide you with the CAPER presentation as well.
Okay, well, we'll just keep it on our calendars as tentative, and more than likely than not, we will meet in October. Okay, anything else for the good of the order? All right, well, it was nice seeing everybody this morning. Thank you for being here, and the meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.